What are the most cowardly things a person can do? Let another person take the blame and punishment for something they did. When I was about 7, someone cut the whiskers off the cat. Being the youngest, my parents blamed it on me. I pleaded my innocence, but got the strap in the rest of the day in solitary confinement. My British rail. My older sister's conscience intervened, and she admitted to the evil deed. She got praised for her honesty, no punishment, and I received no apology. My dysfunctional family put their own child in danger to protect themselves. Ah yes, a parent that uses his/her child as a human shield. Push the blame onto others when it's clearly your own fault. I used to do this a lot. Now that I look back, I can see how annoying I was as a kid. Allow your children to be abused/molested. Edit. Thanks for the platinum. It's the worst when an entire family lets it happen. Refusing to acknowledge that you made a mistake and making excuses instead of being better. We are human. We are flawed, all of us. This pisses me off to no end. I'll admit I ducked up, 100% no problem. My co-worker will deny. They caught him on camera doing something idiotic as all hell. He flat out refused that it was him. They have his face on camera, and he still to this day denies he did it. Deny, shift blame, lie, or make cheese up. That is so far beyond believable. That's his motto. Me. Yeah, I did it, was my bad, and we move on. Learn to admit you don't know, or you made a mistake. That's a cornerstone to maturing that many people never get past. Not admitting the wrong thing they did, even if they know it to themselves. I kinda felt this cause an ex-friend of mine is like this, and it's the most frustrating thing to me knowing he knows he's wrong, but has too much of an to actually confront his problems. Trap someone in a relationship because they don't want to be alone. At least this is Reddit. Running away from the honorable sword fight we were about to have. You came with a damn claymore. What else was I supposed to do? When a friend is being harried or bullied in front of you, and you just stand there and say I don't want to get involved, even though later on you agree that your friend was completely the victim in the situation. Defend your friends, please. The coolest thing happened my freshman year of college. A group of us were making fun of an acquaintance who was not present. One guy said, "Hey, X is my friend. If you don't stop talking about him, I'm going to leave." Something about his calm dignity made us immediately ashamed of our behavior and we stopped. Lie to get someone else into trouble. That one time my porn didn't finish printing on the family computer and the next time mum used it the final prints came out and I blamed it on my sister BC. She was always using LimeWire and they believed me. Steal from an elderly person. I'm a nurse, and my first job was at an elderly transitional care unit, basically like a rehabilitation unit for anyone 65 and older. Lots of post-knee or hip surgeries, post-stroke, heart conditions, etc. I remember during my orientation week we spent basically an entire day devoted to vulnerable adult abuse, how to spot it, and how to report it. This includes physical abuse, but the one seen most often in elderly patients is their children stealing from them or manipulating them to their benefit. Just awful. Promise free tuition to kids, then when they are about to graduate high school give them laptop batteries instead. I came here today because I promised you tuition, and tuition is very valuable. But you know what's invaluable? It's intuition. Know what that is? That is the ability to know when something is about to happen. Does anybody out there have intuition? Know what's gonna happen next? Bully a weaker person to show their strength. Or just bullying in general? Bowling over women and children while fleeing a child's day party after seeing a little smoke and thinking it's a fire. How do you live with yourself? Being a bully, especially if you hold authority over them. Most of them will never have the balls to bully someone who can fight back, and those who do only have those balls because they are too stupid and narcissistic to account for getting their teeth kicked in. My supervisor at work has been talking chiz about me to other people on our crew for a long time. I finally had enough of it and confronted him. His response was to say that everyone else who said he was doing it were all lying. Such a Rick move. Refuse to accept that they lost an argument and keep making it worse. If I have an argument with some dumber, I would argue shortly and ignore that son of a bitch and show you guys if I'm right or wrong. Act like a big shot with a waiter to try to impress someone. Anyone they feel like it's below them really. Punching down is cowardly enough, even worse than it's for no reason other than seeming like big chiz. Ban someone from a sub you mod because someone pointed you chiz post across Reddit. /u/chiz on taken cough. Yeah. Duck that guy. Cheat on their partner. Falling out of love, wanting out of the relationship is fine. It happens. But cheating is one of the lowest things someone can do if that's legal in my opinion. I'll one up you there. Cheating plus gaslighting. It's bad enough to cheat, but then covering up by lying and making the other person feel like they're crazy? It's the lowest of the low. Use people's weaknesses to manipulate them. I lose respect for such people in an instant. Unless you're playing a game or something, then in that case get wrecked. Passive aggressiveness, which is basically the most common way to hide your true intentions. That is the fastest way to start a fight with me. Due to a bad relationship and certain family members, I will go from 0 to 60 in about 0.2 seconds if someone starts acting passive aggressive during or to start an argument. Throw a bro under the bus. Sadly happens too often. Those people who walk up and are old people, yay, much prefer the ones that jog up. Hit and run on someone's pet. Hit and run on someone. Ghosting someone. Not having the balls to just admit that things don't work out and vanish into thin air never to be seen again. One of the most painful and cowardly things to do ever. My girlfriend, ex, hasn't spoken to me in 2 months. We had an argument, and after I sent her a letter telling her I wanted to keep working on the relationship, last thing she told me, I'm busy, I haven't read your letter, and since then radio silence. So yeah, ghosting people sucks. So many people here who don't understand what cowardly means. Yes, most of these comments are about people being ricks. Abandon their child. Everyone wants to play with the baby making machine and then act surprised when a baby pops out. That's fine though, man, not your problem. Plus that girl is a psycho anyway. Just make an excuse for a fight a few times a week, and then when you leave you can tell yourself it's for the best. /s I have a brother-in-law who started out like this, then encouraged her to move back to her home state, and when the kid comes up once a year to visit his grandma, the dude doesn't even come around. I want to strangle him. That's a human duck in life he is stealing potential from for his own selfishness and cowardice. I guess kill and torture small animals. That's what people with severe mental illness does. If somebody did it, get them help. Cyberbullying or just regular bullying. Pick on someone your own size, or pick on someone to their face. It disgusts me. Don't pick on someone at all. Molest a child and call it a sexuality. Ghosting the person they are dating as a way of breaking up with them. This goes for men, women, and everybody in between. If you don't like someone, or if you just don't see yourself continuing a relationship even after a single date, you can take 5 minutes to call them, or at least throw them a text. Ignoring them will make them feel 100 times worse than being upfront. I feel like ghosting can be a valid way of ending a relationship if you're being abused. Those duckers don't deserve closure. Getting their dog euthanized, not because the dog actually has any health issues, but because the owner simply does not feel like taking care of them anymore, and is too afraid and lazy to care for another living thing besides themselves. So, I'm torn right now. I have an older, 14 to 15-year-old lab that has severe hip dysplasia and can only get up off of the floor on his own. Takes a good minute or so, about 30% of the time. He also poops while laying down. Indoor dog. Constantly, 1 to 5 times a day, and sometimes urinates when he's getting up, 1 to 3 times a week. When standing for more than a minute or two he starts to slowly sag when his hind legs pinned together no longer support his fat A. Not sure what to do, or if it will ever be time. It doesn't help that when he's up and around he comes and puts his head in your lap with those big dumb eyes and stupid derpy smile. A coworker of mine was diagnosed with breast cancer. Her husband left her because he couldn't deal with the stress. She beat cancer on her own and is much better off without that cowardly man. When my grandma was diagnosed with breast cancer in the early 90s, she and my grandpa had to go to a support group type of situation for couples to learn coping and what to expect while dealing with cancer. Apparently, some of the partners in this support group ended up leaving the wives because the women had to have mastectomies to remove the cancer. Hit a child. Little Ducker stole my Oreos, had to send a message to the rest of the kids at the daycare. Bitch and moan, but not attempt any real action to fix it. It may be learned helplessness. False police reports, like trying to get someone raided or done for a false rape, etc. I think these people should get a minimum sentence of at least 20 years. Plagiarism. I know that seems really specific, but plagiarizing someone else's work means you were A, too afraid of failure to do your own work, or B, too afraid of the repercussions of not doing the work to just let it go. Intentional plagiarism is an act of cowardice. Another cowardly thing is plagiarism. I know that seems really specific, but plagiarizing someone else's work means you were A, too afraid of failure to do your own work, or B, too afraid of the repercussions of not doing the work to just let it go. Intentional plagiarism is an act of cowardice. My mother was so horrifically abusive, she doesn't even deserve to be casually referred to by that title. My father not only let it all happen, he told me, at 5 that it was my fault. I remember begging him to at least protect my little sister, a toddler, at the time. Whenever I saw her going after my sister, I'd deliberately do something naughty so that she would beat me instead. But I knew I couldn't protect her all the time. My father's response? That mummy would never hurt me unless I'd done something to deserve it and been naughty. He also told me that if she hurt my sister, that was my fault too. Because, as the big sister, he said I set the example, so if she got beaten, it was because she'd followed my naughty example. He said that every time she hit my sister, or otherwise made her cry, I should be ashamed and figure out what I'd done to make that happen. I was 5. And he did all that out of sheer cowardice. He was not only afraid of her, and of the inconvenience of having to actually acknowledge and address her extreme violence, but also of being confronted with the unavoidable reality that he was actively enabling the abuse and neglect my sister and I endured. He is the absolute lowest form of sniveling coward I've ever encountered, and cutting all contact with him was one of the best decisions I ever made for myself. Edit. Thank you so much, anonymous redditor who gave me a Hugs award. People who want somebody that's in a relationship, so they spread lies to ruin the relationship, and then swoop in to comfort/date the person they wanted now that they're single. TLDR. Homewreckers. That's not a coward, that's a sociopath. DDoSing on an online game. Accuse a 15-year-old artist of 57 different war crimes because you don't understand their art style. I'm looking at you, Tumblr. On that note, I'll add overblowing situations so that outsiders with no context come to conclusions that paint a very different picture to the truth. Leave a date without telling the other party. Well, that depends. There are definitely some situations where it's safer to just leave. If you just don't like the person, then you should tell them. But if it's a situation where you don't feel safe, abusive, so really creepy or threatening conversation, etc., then common courtesy is no longer important. You have to look out for yourself. Courage, the cowardly dog. What are you on about? Courage is brave as duck. The biggest coward is a man who awakens a woman's love with no intention of loving her. Bob Marley. Kind of ironic coming from him as he was a big womanizer. Punch someone in the back of the head because you disagree with them. Punching someone in the back of the head for literally no reason whatsoever. Stealing candy from children, picking a fight with old people, insulting others based on stupid conspiracy theories. Jumping through a barber shop window just to escape. What happened, my guy? This piece of chiz in my hometown recently killed his 1-year-old baby and beat his 4-year-old. He blamed it on his medication, but we all know he's a ducking drugged out loser who hallucinated. People protest in front his house. How is he not in jail? Thanks Canadian legal system. How wasn't he put into a mental asylum? Take the minus offer on the chase. I once screamed at my TV in rage because of this. I was angry for 12 days and I punched a nun. Refusing to check their own bias and going further and further down a rabbit hole of ridiculousness rather than admitting being wrong. For example, we should have all been wearing masks for a long time. Here in the UK, it's just been enforced on us. Rather than admit that they might have been wrong and should been wearing one all along, they attack the idea. It starts straightforward and descends into madness. Masks limit your breathing, so I'm not wrong. To not wear one. COVID-19 is a 5G plot to let Bill Gates put a chip in us. All masks are training us to be pussies, so the liberals can take away all our rights. Literally anything, no matter how made up or retarded it is fair game, and so long as it validates their existing position and desire to avoid having to face up to being wrong, is now adopted as doctrine. How anyone out there seriously believes that a COVID-19 vaccine is a Gates Foundation, how does he even know so much about science anyways, is a conspiracy to chip you is just unfathomable. The only logical solution is they know it's cheese but it conveniently helps them get a win. I have a really hard time fathoming how liberals became the bloodthirsty ones who want to take away rights and kill us in our beds. Just a few years ago, liberals were mocked for being directionless and unable to get anything done. They were the tree-hugging hippies. They were ridiculed for being pacifists who see both sides of an argument. Suddenly they're being railed against with a vehement hypocrisy that makes my head spin. They are suddenly somehow capable of faking a worldwide pandemic. Anonymous internet insults. A bitch. Cheating on someone who loves you. I can tell you the Reddit user one. I once made a highly downvoted comment and someone wanted me to say they agreed with me. Chicken shiz. I think you may be misreading that. If it was a highly downvoted comment then there isn't much point in commenting on it because nobody will see it. The person was trying to be nice by showing they agreed with you. Abandon your children's spouse. Too general. Children is a definite you do not abandon. Spouse, with good cause it's justifiable. When you abandon your girlfriend after someone grabs her and tries to rob both of you. And when she gets away she finds you locked in your car. Speaking from experience. Quitting games that you are losing. Depends if it is a ranked match, like then you're just wasting both people's time. Spread rumor/hate about someone that has been accused of something, but then shy away from spreading the truth when it's proven that they're innocent. E.g., when a guy gets wrongly accused of rape he is usually crucified by the media in public. When his innocence is proven, you'll notice the media public are mostly silent on that matter. Famous example, Johnny Depp. Viciously talks behind someone's back but never actually say any of it to the person's face/insult someone time and time again, but when they're in your presence you act all friendly. Ghosting is pretty cowardly. Just tell the person you're not interested. It's not that hard. Actually it's extremely hard. I do not condone ghosting and have thankfully always chosen the higher road of addressing the breakup/fallout head on, but it was really ducking hard. The right thing is often the hard thing. Scold other people's children to release your frustration or just to show them that you are elder than them and hence tell them that they can't argue to elders and then telling them that their parents haven't taught them how to talk to elders. It's just so hypocritical of them to say that. Make anonymous threats over the internet. Or better yet, be intimidated by some rickhead making anonymous threats over the internet. They'll never find you body more beautiful than I do. Your star. Being a cop and shooting an unarmed man to death. Even soldiers in war zones have to follow rules of engagement and aren't allowed to just murder people. I'll never understand how cops at home are less accountable than our military while deployed overseas. Ghosting. Attacking someone vulnerable, i.e., elderly, disabled or children. When you accuse someone of a crime they didn't commit to ruin their reputation/get them into trouble. Bully and then cower away when confronted. Trash someone's car. I feel like attacking someone's car because you feel like they wronged in some way is such a passive-aggressive move. It's like your move to action, but not enough action to have to deal directly with any consequences. Pay someone to kill animals for you behind closed doors because you can't stand to see animals get hurt, but you like the taste of meat/dairy too much. Reddit, why are you booing them? They're right. Ghost you, especially after a long friendship/relationship. Ghosting a date, especially after sex. Probably get downvoted, but suicide. No matter the reason, suicide is the ultimate form of giving up and running away so far that no one can reach you. It's the coward's way out. Yeah, you will, because you said, no matter what the reason. For one, I wouldn't dare give your courage speech to someone terminally ill. Being an a-hole to your significant other in an attempt to make them break up with you so you don't have to break up with them. Turn the blame back on someone you've harmed. Hurting someone's pet, children or family to hurt the person. Ask pervy/creepy sexual questions on r/AskReddit to jerk off to instead of finding a partner is real life. Abandon a marriage because the other person became chronically ill or they became too old. Rape children. Abuse children or animals. Refuse to wear a mask because they need to prove that they aren't afraid of COVID. Be covered head to toe in weapons and feel threatened by someone you have complete and total authority over while being heavily armed. That's the definition of being a coward. R.I.P. Daniel Shaver. Oh my, you watched until the end? That's fucking awesome, dude. Thanks for watching.